At the start of any piece of music, you will see these two numbers placed on top of one another. This is called the time signature. It's a really simple idea, but it can be confusing if you're new to music. In this video, we're going to explore the basic ideas behind time signatures. The first thing to say is that this isn't a fraction like you might see in maths. It's two independent numbers that just happen to be placed on top of one another. They both mean different things. It's also nothing to do with time, really. It doesn't measure seconds or minutes. Instead, it measures the number of beats which are in each bar. The top number tells us how many beats are in each bar, and the bottom number tells us the value of these beats. So to make this a bit simpler, we need to get familiar with these two terms, beats and bars. A beat is just like a heartbeat for the music. Maybe you've heard your own heartbeat before, and it's this repeating pulse that happens again and again, at the same speed, more or less. Well, music has the same thing, and this is called the beat. Now, a piece of music could be quite long. It could be 2 or 3 minutes, or it could be half an hour. But instead of saying a piece of music has 300 beats in it, instead we break it down into small groups, normally into groups of 2, 3, or 4, and these small groups are called bars. And so this is where the time signature comes in. It tells us how many beats are in each bar. Specifically, this is what the top number tells us. So in this piece of music, the top number of the time signature is 3, so there's 3 beats in each bar. The bottom number tells us what the value of this beat is, so either minims or crotchets. In America, these are called half notes and quarter notes, which can be a bit easier to understand, but it's important not to confuse these with fractions. It's kind of like when you measure anything that happens over a period of time. You need to say 2 things. If I were to ask you, how long have you been playing guitar? You couldn't just say 3, you need to say 3 months or 3 years. And the same thing is true with time signatures. The top number is how many there are, and the bottom number is this extra bit of information that tells us what we're actually counting. So now we understand that time signatures exist. The next question to ask is why? Why put everything into small groups instead of just leaving it as a long piece of music? Well, the first answer is that it makes it easier to understand and a lot easier to read. Instead of having just a long list of notes in a piece of music, it's now organized into small groups. And if you're playing with someone, you can say to them, let's play from bar 20, instead of having to point somewhere on the music. But the second reason, and the most important reason, is that music isn't random, but instead it's quite predictable and it happens in patterns. Listen to this drum beat as an example. You can hear that the beat isn't completely random and happening at different times or different speeds, but instead it's quite predictable and it's repeating in the same pattern. We as humans don't like music that's completely random. Instead, we like music that has some predictability to it. This might be so we can dance or sing, but also it's about all the other musical ideas that you might have heard of, like melodies, harmonies, and phrasing. These can all be built on top of this consistent, steady beat. Without a way of organizing music with time signatures, we'd have chaos, there'd be no structure. Just like in real life, if we didn't have years and months and weeks, and you just had a long run of days throughout your entire life, it would be so hard to organize and to communicate ideas with other people. And so this is what time signatures are for. They make it possible to make some really nice music by getting rid of the chaos and making everything really nicely organized. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe and don't forget to check out some of my other videos as well.